Hey everyone, this is Tim. I was just going to briefly go over what I'm doing with when I say I'm pruning leaves on my plants. These are the leaves that I have taken off this morning. I've taken them off for all sorts of different reasons. For example, on this particular leaf here, this was more of a younger leaf, but you can see these sunken in lesions. So I've gone ahead and try to remove as much of that as I possibly can, and you'll see on the back side too. The longer, if you leave them on there, the more likely they are to spread. You generally bacterial, and it's already usually present, but you just don't really want it remaining there if it doesn't need to. Other leaves were touching the soil. I mean, they look perfectly fine, but I try to remove any leaves that even start to get old. So this one, you can see the yellowing in the tips of the leaves. The reason why the one I removed today, and it has a lot of yellow on it, is because it was slid underneath the plastic bag. I'll kind of give you an example of that in a second. But you can see all various stages of the same type of thing. This might just been lying on the ground or near the ground or in a puddle of water on the plastic bag. So I'll give you kind of an example of what I'm talking about here. On this particular tomato plant, it's doing fine, nice strong stem, but this leaf here is touching the soil, and of course I just watered it. So this contact with consistent moisture and not allowing it to dry off will allow more of a fungal and fungus or bacteria to kind of get into it. So what I usually will go ahead and do is I'll just go ahead and remove it off of the tomato plant. I could use a pair of scissors, and a lot of people do use snips. I just feel like if I cut into a particular plant that's got some type of disease that I don't hit make sure I clean it every single time with bleach, that it's going to cause me problems, and I'm actually going to be spreading it if I do it with a pair of scissors. But that's just my preference. Other people do it just fine and don't have an issue. But you can see here how some of these plastic bags have a tendency to kind of roll over. I could put more soil in it, but again, it's a cost factor. And so I went ahead and just, and I kind of almost think it's a little bit of a mulch, but it can fill up with water, especially if it rains. And if the leaves are sitting on it like this, then you can see how that could be an issue later on. Also, sometimes just sitting on the plastic might get a little bit warm, and it may cause the leaf to start to get damaged. And again, once I start seeing some yellowing on the leaf, I'll just go ahead and take it off. Little things like, the little damages that you can see on the leaves here don't concern me. And especially, I don't mind taking off a branch, especially when it has a sucker kind of coming up and it's large and strong. If the sucker is smaller and even something like this, then I'm a little concerned when the leaves start getting some sort of disease or funk, unless it was some type of mechanical damage, which could be me walking back and forth in between all the plants. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good out here. And I just thought maybe, since I talk about pruning, that I just give you an example. And one other thing is, I don't mind taking up these leaves all the way up, especially so long as, like the tomatoes, like if, for example, the tomatoes here, so long as they had some sort of coverage from the sun, I would be perfectly fine with removing all the leaves up to that point. So don't worry, because if you ever look at the commercial varieties, or commercially grown tomatoes, you'll see that they actually have like a rope of tomato vine laying on the ground as they go throughout the season. So it is normal for those leaves to die off. All right, thank you.